Okay, so now we have our second piece for that same row, and so I'm laying it right side up, and then I'm going to flip this over so it's right sides together, and I'll pin again from the red side so you can see it better. Okay, so I'm putting the pin through, keeping this seam allowance out of the way, putting the pin through right at that corner where I finished the other seam, but not through the other fabric. Okay, so it's just through the red fabric. And then match it up with the point on the sky. Okay, wing the sky around, match the points on this end. There we go. And match that point. A lot of times I just kind of pull the pins apart from each other so that it makes everything flatten out. And then carefully angle the pin over and carefully angle the pin over again. Okay, so then, what did I do with my needle? Oh, there it is. Okay, another short piece of thread. I'm going to use a different needle because I don't know what I did with the other one. Okay, thread it. Knot it, and start again. Okay, so I'm keeping this seam, the first seam allowance, out of the way, so I'm kind of holding it over to the side, starting a couple stitches away from, from the corner, coming up where the pin is. Pull the pin out. I'm going to cut this tail off here, and then move forward, and again, still keeping that seam allowance out of the way. Up and down. Running stitch is kind of going, having the needle go from one side to the other. Let's tail it back up a bit. And you want the thread to be flat, but not pulled, because you don't want to gather the stitches, which makes things so they don't fit together right later on. Okay, so 2 or 3 stitches. Okay, so this is the procedure that you will do as you connect pieces together for the project. And that's going to be your homework for the week, is basically putting the block together, except for the long piece at the long grass piece at the bottom. Okay, so I'm coming up at the pin, take the pin out, do a back stitch to reinforce it, and turn it around and do a couple stitches away from that corner. Do a back stitch, dive it through the loop, and repeat. And cut your thread. And that's it for for that row. Now at this point, if you want to, you can iron it towards the red on both sides with an iron, or you can just kind of finger press for now. That's fine. Okay, so that everything behaves. The rule of thumb with which direction to press your seam allowance is traditionally towards your darker fabric, because if you put it towards your lighter fabric, quite often your seam allowance is going to show through the lighter fabric. So that's why we use that as a rule of thumb. It's not written in stone, but it's what seems to work. Okay, so this row is actually, these 2 pieces get connected together first, and then add these 2, and then connect these 2 rows. This bottom part, the 2 big pieces get pieced together and then added to opposite sides of the lighthouse. And then these 2 rows get attached to those 2 rows.